All right, so now let's go to the second half of the assignment, which is now getting the ball off the ground and back up into the air. So we need drawing number 7 and drawing number 1. So once again, your timing chart will dictate the placement of your drawings. So number 8 is in the halfway position. So once again, find the center of your bottom ball. Down here, there's the center of that one. Here's the center of your top one. Path of action is a straight line. Find the center halfway position right there. Now this drawing is going to be special because once it impacts on the ground, it squishes. It now has to react to that squishing. So when it bounces off the ground, it's going to go into a stretch position. Right? So what we're going to do is, to simplify things, is we're simply going to take drawing number 7, turn it sideways, center it over that dot, and draw the oval in this direction here. So just match up the volume, because the volume won't change from what you've got in your stretch position or your squash position. So basically we're showing the ball accelerating off of the ground and going into a distorted stretch position here. So this will be drawing number 8. So now when I put them on the pegs again and flip it, you'll see that it's going from the bottom down here, stretches, and goes back up to a circle. So it's got that pulling action to it. Now, for the remainder of the drawings, what I want you to do is in between them the same way. So we're going from number 8 to number 1. You've got your timing chart here. 9 is a half, 10 is another half, and 11 is another half. So it's easing up into its final position there. But what I need you to do is take it from the oval position to a circle, easing it back up into its next position. So the next drawing, number 9, will not be a circle. It's going to be halfway between the circle and the oval. All right? So I'll show you how to do that. Can I borrow another sheet of paper? Yeah, actually give me 2 or 3. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to do drawing number 9 now. So same principle applies. I find the center and the center, path of action, half the distance right between those two. Okay? So that's where my ball is going to be centered. So in order to make this easier now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift it off the pegs and place it directly over top. So I'm taking drawing number 8 and placing it directly over top of drawing number 1. So the centers line up, so that when you flip it, it just looks like it's going wada, 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 wada. Okay? So then you take your drawing number 9 and you find the center point of it and you line it up with the center. So your drawings should be offset. So if you look at the bottom of your sheet of paper here, see the distance between 8 and the bottom of number 1? This sheet of paper should be half the distance in between those two, because the drawing is moving half the distance as well. So now, if I hold the paper down with my fingers like this, I can now do this type of flipping here where the ball is simply distorting in its space. So now I'm going to in between this on the spot. So remember, we did the 1/3 distance on it, so basically we're finding the halfway distance between those edges. So I'm just going to draw lines on like this just to indicate where that space is, and then flip and see if the lines are moving correctly. So see how it's coming back to its original shape now? So I can use that as my guide. So it's still going to be a slightly oval position for drawing, just not as compressed as number 7, or sorry, number 8, and not as round as number 1. So now when I flip it, it looks like it's returning back to its original shape there. Okay, so I want you to do the same thing for number 10 and 11. So you do from 9 back to 1, find the halfway point, shift it, in between it off the pegs. So it's returning back to its natural shape. All right, so number 10 will be slightly more round, but still slightly oval. Number 11 will be almost a perfect circle, but not quite. All right, and that'll bring you back up to your original shape. Okay, so then, once you've done that, you should be able to complete that by the end of today's class, by the way. What I want you to do then is shoot it as a pencil test, shoot all drawings on 2, and then loop it. All right, so that when I come in next week to take a look at it on the Toon Boom, it'll be an endless loop of this ball just bouncing up and down on the spot. All right? Everybody got it? Okay. I'll show the remainder of the in-betweens. Like I said, you guys can take off back to class while I complete this, and you can see the video later on. Yep, yep, just throw money in the box there and just grab.
Okay.
the final thing that I'll add on to what I've done here is in the animation as I'm flipping it, okay, everything is the way I want it to be as the ball comes down and then it bounces up here. The only weird thing about this type of animation is that the jump between this position here and this position here, it's fairly dramatic in that the ball is changing shape from going from squish to stretch, that it almost begs to have an in-between in there. And so I'm going to drop in one in-between, but what I'll do is when I shoot it, I'll shoot two variations of it. One will be a variation where it's shot on ones and the other one will be shot on twos. If I shoot it on twos, what usually tends to happen is that the timing on it tends to slow it up just a little bit. And so if you shoot it on ones, it's just filling in the space, but not taking up a huge amount of time. So I'm going to find the halfway position, and then I'm going to go back to the circle that I should have originally from my number 1 drawing. So it's halfway between a squished and a stretch would be the circle position. So I'm just going to shift and trace this one. And of course there are lots of different variations that you can put on this. If you wanted it to be more like a jello-y type ball, you could put a lot of wobble into it if you wanted to. I'm slightly off center there. But you could make it wobble as it comes up. It would also have to be quite a bit slower. So when it squishes and then it comes up, it would go back to a stretch and then back to a squish and back to a stretch and a squish as it goes up. So it would have this wobble, wobble, wobble type feel to it. And you could do something like that if you wanted to, but obviously you'd have to slow down the number of in-betweens. So because this is coming after number 7, I'm going to call this 7A. So I don't have to alter my number 8 drawing. So as an in-between now, this looks like this. Going from my squish position, squish, and back up. So it just softens that distortion up just a little bit so it's not quite so abrupt. Okay, so I'll shoot a pencil test of that with the two variations of it being on 1s and 2s, and you can see how it'll look. All right?